Hi, this is Steve Barton for Solid Rock Machine Incorporated. Today we want to talk about a tool that we use quite often. It's a Herrick 5C spin indexer. Herrick makes a number of different units. They make the number one, which is something that I worked on in other shops, is quite a bit more than this one. We bought this one because it was about $1,000 cheaper. The other unit I like because it has a V-block mounted on it. I can get a better accuracy than what I can get out of the 5C, but we bought this unit because we figure that we can make our own faceplate, our own V-block, which we have, and we'll show that in a minute, and achieve that same accuracy. In this case, we have an indexer. It uses regular 5C collets. I'll throw a 1/2 inch one in. On an earlier video, we did a hard turn of this dowel pin on a milling machine, and so I'm just going to use this as an example. We'll pop that in there, lock that in, lock it down, and now we can spin this. If we set this tool up on the grinder or the mill, we got the spin action, and then the index will be right here. There's a series of holes in here. You loosen that up, spin it, it'll drop in, spin it. It'll index at every 15 degrees. So now if you want to put flat at here, you want to spin it 30 degrees, you skip 2, put another flat. You can do whatever angles that the 15-degree index will give you. If anybody that has used the spin fixtures that had a hand crank, and if you used them a lot in the grinding, you know that it gets kind of tiring, the hand crank this all the time. Not only that, when you're hand cranking, your hand generally, when you get to the bottom and up, you generally put an motion in there that if there's any play, you'll see that in the grind. It won't be as consistent. We bought a motorized unit. This is a variable speed motor hooked up with a little belt here, and if we turn that on, it will spin. It's a variable speed motor. Here we're going at the slowest RPM. Here we're going at the highest RPM. And when you do a lot of grinding, stuff like this, I tell you what, that motor is well worth it. One of the shortcomings that I hate with most collet systems, particularly with 5C, is they're not as accurate as a lot of times what we need. Here's an example. I just threw this in. You saw me throw it in. Adam will come in here and zoom this up, and we'll just put the indicator on, and we got it at this angle, so hopefully you can see the face of the indicator better. Take some of the glare out. So you can see that it's probably just right at about a thou. And a lot of times you can take and you can lightly tap that in and get it closer, but to get it, you know, within a tenth is quite hard with a collet system. So that's one of the shortcomings of the collet system. But on a side note, you always want to buy, if you're going to do a lot of collet work, buy a high quality collet, because if your collets aren't running true, you're never going to get that in very accurate anyways. What we've done, we made this faceplate. We have this one set up. We made it with a 5C on the back. We have this so that we can pop it in here. This is still a work in progress. We're not finished with it, but it's still usable. It's in a soft state, so I can alter it. When it's all done, we'll heat treat it and grind it up. But you can pop that in there, and you can bolt things to the front. You can add the screw holes as you need them. So I got this one set up. We also made us a V-block, and I have the V-block so that I can set it in. And now we can use this like a number one, Herrick number one. We have this set up with the clamp system so that you can come in here for the taller parts. For the shorter parts, You can clamp right in here. Let's see, runs that screw there. There it is. And I just have this snug now. It's not very close, but let me get to the hammer here a minute. Well, what you can do, I just have it snug down, and you can take and you can lightly tap this in. I'll just get it about that close for right now. It's closer than the collet, but we can get it closer. But as you can see, it takes a little bit of effort, because if you knock it one way, it wants to spin on another way. So if you tap it this way, and then it's going to move that way. If you tap it this way, it'll move out that way. And you end up chasing your tail. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to make a rail system that goes on here, which we've already machined earlier today. And these aren't finished yet, but they'd still be usable. What this will do, it will allow me to tap in just one direction. I'm mounting the rail system on there. I'll be able to guide that V-block just in one direction, up and down. I don't have it centered perfectly right now. But you can see right now I got it where it's just kind of bouncing around a little bit. And we get that little bit of bounce in this unit. It's a different bearing system than you have set in the number one. But the beauty of having the rails now, if I have to adjust this for a different size, I can loosen this V-block. I can slide it up and down. I don't have to worry about the sideways movement because the rails will capture that. And the rails aren't finished yet. We're going to be, let's see. We're going to be putting a slot on both sides that goes through the faceplate. And we're going to be cutting rails down there, and we'll precision grind all that so that when you fasten that on, it will automatically align that with the V-block that will set on that face. So like I say, it's still work in progress. We're still got things that we got to do. This is kind of where we're at on the project right now. We plan on taking with this as well, somewhere down in the future, getting a 4-inch 3-jaw adjustable chuck that you can mount on here and have it set, so then we'll be able to use a faceplate, 5C collet, we'll be able to use the V-block, and then the chuck and everything. One of the things we did when we bought this fixture, we noticed that when we set this top part, the base did not come with it, we built this ourselves, but when we set this top part on the surface grinder, but this all the way up against the back, you could grind stuff, and just right from the factory it was set real good. It was grinding without any taper. Well, we wanted to make this base block that sits on here, it'd be longer because sometimes we got longer parts. And what would happen then is we found out that we were getting like 1.5 thou taper that was going in the part. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. I checked out this fixture, how flat it was going with the center line. Everything was good. This base was ground real good. I thought there might be some weight, but if it was a weight thing, that tape was actually going the wrong way. And so what we found out was that when we set this base just on the plate and just lightly tighten these screws, then you won't have the taper. As we tighten these screws down tight, that's when we started getting our distortion. And again, when you check everything out, everything looks good. It's just the nature of with the fasteners that you have. What we did, we added a 1/4 tap hole right over here. By adding that 1/4 tapped hole, I can put pressure and I can compensate for the pressure on there. So, and it worked out good. I had a part in here. It was roughly 7 inches long that I had sitting in here, and I think it was about 1.5 thou taper, and I took the screw and I adjusted it about half of that, threw it back up, and then it was ground within 1/10. I had a little unit that I would stabilize it at the end, which I'm not showing in the video right now, but we found out that by putting this screw in there and adjusting, once I have it adjust, whether I'm doing short pieces or longer pieces, that taper's staying out, and it works really good. There might be some times when you want a slight taper. Well, you can adjust it quite well with that within a few thou. So anyways, this is the spin fixture that we use. We'll use it for a lot of our projects. Some of the things that you can do that we will do in the future by being able to use a V-block. This is something that I've done probably 20 years ago. It's a punch. Can you see it from there very good, Adam? Basically, you got a round diameter back here, and you got the 2 flats, and then you got the 2 radiuses off center. You can do that type of work with a system like this. You can do some very precision work. I have some slots set up here because now I got to make a unit so that I can actually stop where the radius is, when I'm wanting to spin the radius part so I don't grind into the flat. I'll have to be able to precision stop at certain places. So this notches that we got in here, I'll make some units in there that I'll be able to set up that will go against another pin I have sitting here, kind of like the Herrick #1 unit. It will be able to do this type of work. Other type of work that we've done in the past is taking units like this and grinding these squares and then grinding these nice precision radiuses on there. You'll be able to do that with this type of unit. Again, the Herrick #1 fixture, right from the factory, you're going to be able to do that. You won't have to build all this, but we've had more time than we have money. We decided we'd build this and get this going. But anyhow, this is a tool that we use. Thought you might be interested in seeing it, learn a little bit about it, and just changing the subject for a little bit. Here's a neat little indicator. One of the first indicators I've ever had. I bought a toolbox when I first started the trade from a guy that retired, and this happened to be an indicator that was in it. Now, I've never used an indicator, but I thought it was neat. This is a H. Koch and Son. It's out of New York. It's patented in July of 1906. And you got 2 ways of measuring. You can see the little needle right here as I move this in. And I believe those are thousandths increments. And then you got the other part that works the same too. Kind of neat. You got a little slide thing in there. You can see the inner workings of it. But I thought this was quite a rare thing, but when I got and did some internet search, found out that you know, there's quite a few of those around. I don't know if you've seen them or not, but I thought it was kind of a neat tool. Well, anyways, that'll be it for today. I hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.